Hello, Captain. How may I be of assistance?
This is Vasco. He's a player companion in the upcoming game Starfield. If you're on the lookout for a brand new space game, and I'm quite certain there's a few of you who are, then Starfield is likely to be an option. In fact, talking of options, the game seems to be filled with them in classical Bethesda style. Take for example, the player's ability to join the pirate faction, the Crimson Fleet. So, becoming a pirate in a space game seems like an interesting option, right? Unfortunately not something that all space games easily offer, but it seems like Starfield is going to be one that does. Now, how far this goes is open to interpretation, very much a question of the moment. It could simply be like the evil factions, the nefarious organisations found within Fallout and the Elder Scrolls series. Either way though, a player doesn't necessarily need to participate in evil actions just because they joined the organisation. It seems, from what Bethesda have said at least, that players can instead opt to be a double agent, joining up with the Crimson Fleet and then reporting on their actions to the authorities or another faction. Talking of other factions, one of these are the United Colonies. These are the most established political force within the galaxy, basically an ideological future of everything sci-fi. But no political faction gets that large, that powerful, without also having some enemies. A big enemy then of the United Colonies is the Freestar Collective. This is like a frontier world. So yeah, cowboy, western-styled themes here, not too dissimilar perhaps to certain elements of Star Wars. But whilst the Freestar Collective may seem a little bit run down, a little bit out on the frontier, away from civilization, this certainly cannot be said for Ryujin Industries, who are very much a mega-corporation. Now, the concept art here, pretty interesting, in fact, so obvious in terms of inspiration that you can guess and you won't get any points for doing so. Nonetheless, a nice aesthetic, something I always do enjoy seeing. Now, hopefully this type of aesthetic, this attention to detail also extends to characters. Bethesda has said they're going into far more detail when it comes to player characters, so essentially going back to their ideas of old before their most recent games, when RPGs were a little bit more hardcore and the decisions you made with character creation were a bit more in-depth. So here I'd be thinking about extensive lore as well as perhaps some decision trees. I have to say, no solid information on this just yet, but it's nice to see that they're giving this some thought at the very least. Attention to detail though doesn't just extend to the background information for a player character, but also to character models, and this may not just be player characters, but indeed all characters found throughout Starfield. So bringing in more realistic characters requires new technology, improved technology. To do this, Bethesda will be extending their photogrammetry technology they use for scenery and applying it to player characters. Now, for those of you who are new to that phrase, photogrammetry is about taking real-world imagery and basically using an AI algorithm to translate it into in-game geometry and in-game assets. It's a technique used by a lot of games, perhaps though one of the most famous is Microsoft Flight Simulator. And as you can see here, this has some absolutely gorgeous, stunning footage from photogrammetry technology. Now, insofar as Starfield specifically, just how Bethesda apply this technology to characters is certainly a bit of a mystery at the moment, but hopefully it should have some rather interesting results. Looking forward to seeing those. Talking of interesting results, this well could be an outcome of the new dialogue system on Persuasion. Now, Bethesda, Todd Howard may be overselling this a little bit. In-game dialogue, pretty much in any game, can be a very, very difficult concept to sell and make believable. Whilst super expensive neural networks are getting there in that regards, in-game discussions with NPCs specifically are not quite there yet. That said, it seems Bethesda have clearly given some thought to this, plenty of thought actually. In fact, one of the things they went on to say is when it comes to multiple choice dialogue, traditionally in many games there's always the conversations where a single choice always seems to be the right choice. Bethesda have said that's something they want to avoid with Starfield and instead make the conversations feel a bit more believable and a bit more dynamic. So yeah, certainly some challenging stuff there for Bethesda to overcome, but it seems as though they're on the path to trying that. So there we have it, all the latest information on Starfield, which incidentally dropped today. Now, as I said towards the beginning of the video, I know a few of you out there are certainly going to be looking for a new space game, specifically console players, largely in thanks to what's been going on with Elite Dangerous lately. Unfortunately though, Starfield isn't going to be an option for all console players, as the game isn't going to be available on the PlayStation platform. But that said, how much you feel you're missing out in terms of space games is pivotal on one very large and one very important question. And that is, how are spaceships going to function within Starfield? Are they going to work similar to Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, or are they going to be a bit more like what you can find in the Outer Worlds? At the moment, Bethesda are being very tight-lipped about this, but the fact that one of the developers was talking about what could be found in the cosmos in terms of exploration, well, that gives me some hope at least. At any rate, that brings us to the end of this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.